Good morning. So there's a little bit going on in my life right now, and it's not really good stuff, to be honest. My car is still not working. I did go to the doctor yesterday. My doctor is not that far from the house. I just took an Uber over there. So I needed to get some groceries, and my computer is deciding to do all this maintenance stuff right now while I'm trying to do the video. So I just took an Uber, and I picked up some groceries while I was over there. It's right next to Walmart, and I am not being sponsored by Walmart. Um, since the chemo is starting to wear off, you can see that I have eyebrows, and I am not wearing makeup this morning. I just woke up, so um, they I was pretty hungry after my doctor's appointment, and I did something I have not been able to do in a very long time. I ate a hamburger at the hamburger place that they had there. I won't say what it is. There's no reason to go into brand names or anything. It was not this one, but it was another hamburger chain, and um, it was a hamburger. I mean, it did not make me sick. It was not the best hamburger I've ever had, and people were socially distanced and everything. So, there were only like two other people in there, and they had a big area where people could eat. So I kind of forgot what it was like to eat at a restaurant, even a hamburger place over Walmart. So that was a weird experience for me to do that again. It was kind of like being back in 2020, and going to a restaurant again after all those months, and I don't think I ate out in 2020. I think it was 2021. No, it was New Year's. I think my brother took us out to a restaurant with when Star Wars came out. I think that was the first time we went out after the lockdowns and stuff. But that's weird thinking back on that. That might have been before the lockdowns. It's kind of hard to sequence all of that. I'm not really good with sequencing time events anyway, but I picked up the usual Walmart fare. You go straight to the salad section. Their salads are pretty good. So that's kind of where they shine, in my opinion, is coleslaws and things like that. So I got that stuff, and I went home, and then I got really sick when I got home, and it had nothing to do with the hamburger. There was a reason I went to the doctor, and I have had some stuff going on that the cancer might have metastasized, and I should have, in theory, been finding out what is going on with the cancer today, and that had to be canceled thanks to the American Cancer Society being a bunch of big fat liars. And I am not happy with that organization. They have changed things so that they can do a bigger grift and prey on people's sympathies to get them to donate money and provide less services. And I will tell you what my experiences with them were and what they are now. In the past, I had a cancer scare in the past having to do with my blood cells. And I will say that I've had issues with my blood cells, and that cleared up while I had chemotherapy. So something was going on with it. And they never figured out, and they being the medical team, what exactly it was. So we're going to say it's CLL, and it was probably stage 0. And nobody knows exactly what it was. And that was separate from what has been going on with the ovarian cancer, which is probably stage 3, maybe stage 4. And we can't figure out what is going on with it, because I was supposed to go in for a CT scan today to find out what is going on with the tumor. And I had to cancel it because my car needs a new alternator, and it is not running. It can start, and then it will die when I take it, a few blocks down the road, and that is not a good situation to be in when you're driving. And even to the pharmacy, let alone to a hospital that's not close to the house. So the lying organization known as American Cancer Society told me that they would set me up with rides. They told me to install an app, which I did. And they said, we have approved you for unlimited rides to and from your providers. You just need to notify us 25 hours in advance, which I did. And I was like, and they said, you were approved for a round trip ride for the CT scan. I notified them more than 25 hours in advance. So I was like, awesome, I have a ride lined up. This is great, And I was sitting in a waiting room at the doctor's office while I was doing this, installed the app and everything. And so I called the CT scan. I was like, okay, I got the ride, and, I'm confirming my appointment and everything. So everything's great, so I'll wait for my ride. And then about 15 minutes later, I get a notification on the phone. We have canceled your ride. And this is the same thing that I got from the American Cancer Society every single time I called them asking for transportation assistance in the past. So no, they have not done anything to change their availability of rides. All they did was they took some money from the government to change that, or from volunteers or whatever, created an app, and then they did not do anything to change that. They are not providing any kind of rides. They're not paying for it. They didn't buy any kind of a medical transport, which is what the app says they have. No, they have nothing. It's a scam that they're fleecing donors of money for. There are no rides. This is the first time that I ever used the app. It's the first time that I ever used the app, and they did that. They canceled. They took about 15 minutes, and then they canceled my request 15 minutes later. They did not make some big search for rides. It was not some big exhaustive search for volunteers or anything like that. There's no medical transport, which there should be. There's nothing. There's a lot of lights glaring at here. I'm trying to block the worst one, and then there's another one of my glasses here. Sorry about that. But there's nothing. They gave me just enough time to confirm my appointment and then trick me about that. And then I called them and I was like, hey, your app canceled my ride. I'm going to need to cancel my appointment if I don't have transportation. And she's like, oh, well, you didn't book 25 hours in advance. I said, that is a lie. My appointment is still more than 25 hours away. You can look at it. And my appointment's not until 2 o'clock. And it's not even 25 hours from now, let alone when I tried to book it. And she was like, oh, she's like, oh. Well, it says here that there were no volunteers available. And I was like, I'm going to have to cancel my appointment if you do this. And this is the very first time I ever used the app. And she's like, well, it is a volunteer-based thing, making excuses, the exact same excuses that were given. I said, this is the first time that I ever used your app, and you're telling me this kind of stuff, and making excuses about it. And I ended up hanging up on her because it was clear to me that it was the same system they've always had. All they did was create a fancy little app so that they could get more donations. And if you are donating to the American Cancer Society because you think that they provide some kind of a valuable service for cancer patients, I am the cancer patient, and I cannot get a ride to get my CT scan to find out what stage my cancer is, because the American Cancer Society is stealing your money and not providing rides to critical appointments that cancer patients need. They are liars. They do not provide that service. All they are doing is taking the money and fleecing it. And I can guarantee there is some highly paid CEO of the American Cancer Society that's making a lot of money off your donations and taking some vacations and things like that. Does any of that go to the patients? No. Do not donate to the American Cancer Society. I am the cancer patient. I don't get any benefit from that. You know what they used to do? They used to have a service where if you were stressed out being a cancer patient, you could call, and they had counselors on staff that would take your call and talk to you. And that's why I brought up the blood disorder thing, because I've dealt with them a long time, like 10 years. And there was a very nice counselor. Her name was Liz, and she would talk to me. She would talk me through things, and they don't have that service anymore. They fired all those people. Those people are gone. There's not even an option to talk to someone there anymore. That option is not available. And what they have is something called information about cancer. You can go on the Mayo Clinic and look that up. All they're doing is looking up stuff on Mayo Clinic and looking it up on the Cleveland Clinic. They're doing the exact same thing you can do on a website. Again, fleecing donors out of their voluntary donations for something that you can do online. And I'm going to put this back on. I feel weird looking at myself in a monitor with the alien head. I'm sorry. It feels very weird to me. You can go online and look this stuff up. You do not need to call the American Cancer Society to do it. Um, the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic have the exact same information. That's all they're doing is going on those websites and looking it up. You can look it up too. You know where you can get even better information is JAMA.org. I think it's org. But it's JAMA. That's a journal of the American Medical Association. And I actually subscribe to them on YouTube. And they give updates about things like, just what's going on with the avian flu and what's going on with the measles outbreak and things like that. And I'm not being paid or anything to give them a shout out. It's just very reliable, accurate information. The American Medical Association is, I think, the original association of medical doctors in the United States. And it's a professional organization, and they have accurate information on there since we're no longer getting it from the government. You don't need to donate money to the American Cancer Society to get that information. You can find it from the same place. They're just reading it off of a website when you call them. They do not have the counselors. They found that they can cut corners by eliminating the professionals that work there and not providing the services that they had been providing, and they are not providing any new services. Do not donate to the American Cancer Society. I am saying that as a cancer patient who is not receiving any benefit from the American Cancer Society, who supposedly is. So, again, do not send any money to them. They are fleecing people out of their donations. They are not providing the services they say they are. And I had to cancel my appointment that was supposed to be today. It was a very important appointment that I needed to do. And it is too far to take an Uber. I do not have the money to do that. My car broke down. And they lied about providing rides over there. So now I don't know what is going on with my cancer because of that. A lot was hinging on that appointment. So that's where I am. I have no rides to get anywhere. I'm having to rely on Uber to get groceries. I am very sick. There was a reason I had to go to the doctor yesterday. I have a new symptom. I'm not able to make it out to. You don't even know how many appointments. I had to cancel probably about 6 doctor's appointments in the last couple weeks because of a lack of transportation. So this kind of stuff that they're doing and lying to people about providing transportation, I'm just one person. How many people have they done that to? Thousands of people probably in the last couple weeks. So if you come across this video, do not donate to the American Cancer Society. If you pledged money, cancel your pledge. They are liars, and it's a grift. All they did was cancel the services that they had been offering. They fired people that were really providing a lifelink, and I can tell you, as a cancer patient, people like Liz were really they were lifelink. You know, having someone to talk to sometimes was really something that made a difference, and now they don't have that service available anymore. That was what made them something that stood out, and they don't have that anymore. They fired those people. So now all they are is a grift with an app that doesn't do anything. Well, I guess on the good side of things, I lost 8 pounds in the last couple of weeks since my last doctor's visit. And I'm happy about that. I shouldn't be, because that's probably, I wasn't on a diet. But um, I think the chemo was maybe making me bloated. So, my hair is starting to grow back. You can kind of see the shadow of it, and it's no longer platinum blonde. It's kind of I still can't tell what color it is, but it is starting to grow back. I can feel it. It feels really neat. But it is still so bald that my head gets cold. And I don't have any eyelashes yet. I miss my eyelashes. So I had a less than pleasant experience the last time I wore the magnetic eyelashes. So I think that pair needs to go in the trash. I still have like about 20 pairs. But I have not been feeling well. I don't know if I have a UTI or if my cancer metastasized, and that was why I went to the doctor yesterday. And I've been having weird dreams and stuff. I guess you do that when you're sick. Is you get weird dreams, and I was dreaming about my best friend that died back in 2002. Was that she was trying to communicate with me, and that's a I don't know how many of you that will watch this believe in like ghosts and things like that, but there was a lot of paranormal activity right after she passed away, and she was a prankster. She liked to pull jokes on people and everything, and I don't know if you watch other YouTube videos, but she had a personality a lot like if you watch other YouTubers, Bailey Sarian. And I've been watching Bailey Sarian's videos a lot lately, and maybe that's why I'm kind of reminded of my friend. My friend's name was Maria, and so I think maybe that's kind of reminding me of her. But she was very mischievous, and liked to prank people, and after she died, we had a lot of things where lights would turn off and turn on, and fans would turn on and off, things like that. and I had a weird dream where she was trying to communicate with me, and it was kind of a dream like that. So, and of course, because I've been sick, I was thinking maybe, she's trying to let me know, I don't know, that maybe it's getting close to my time to go to the other side or something. And it was kind of a spooky dream, but there was a song that was very popular when I was a senior in high school. It was by Michael W. Smith, and it was called Friends. And he has a line in there: "A lifetime is not too long to live as friends." And everybody thought, "Oh, that's such a sweet song," and everything. It's actually a very dark song, because it's about outliving your best friend. And I've had that experience twice. And Maria accidentally killed herself. She had bipolar disorder, and was doing a stunt, and accidentally, it was an accident. Like people do selfies, and sometimes it doesn't work out. She was doing a stunt, and it didn't work out. I was not there when that happened. I was living overseas, and she was actually in Orlando when that happened. It was after a party, and I heard about it. My mother told me what happened on the phone, and then I read the newspaper articles about it. It was something that made the news. It was, you know, and it was something horrific. And then it took me a long time to let people become close friends with me again, and eventually I did. And then I befriended somebody who was on the spectrum, and she was starting to go through the what do you call it? Where they're having the meltdowns when they get middle aged, and and my friend Faith she was actually a private banker on Wall Street, but she was starting to already having the meltdowns, and just kind of spiraling and everything, and I saw it get worse and worse and everything, and she ended up unaliving herself, and that was not an accident. She lived in a tall building in New York, and would hang out on the roof. She would call me, and she's like, "I'm hanging out on the roof," and they had like chairs and like patio stuff up there, so I didn't really think anything about it, because a lot of buildings have that, and I didn't really, it didn't register with me that she was in that kind of a state of mind, and she was calling me a lot, and she kind of implied that she was going to check into rehab. I did think that she was over medicated. So I didn't really think anything of the fact that I didn't hear from her for a while. I thought she was in rehab, and I learned from her neighbor that she had actually, you know, the last day that I talked to her had unalived herself off the building. So this is something that I experienced twice, was losing a best friend. Kind of in a similar manner. And, you know, I'm just at a point where I don't want to let people close to me like that. And that song, I realize, is very dark because it's about outliving people that shared moments in your life. You know, these little moments where you hear about like wine moms and all that kind of stuff. These were your friends that you drank wine with, and you were watching movies with, and you were making jokes about, that guy looks like this and that guy looks like that, and you wouldn't date that guy because he looks like that. And when you say all these kind of things and stuff, and like Maria, oh my God, I was young when I used to hang out with Maria, and we did stuff that 22-year-olds do. We did a, 22-year-olds do crazy stuff, very crazy stuff. She got pulled over for a sobriety test one time, and she was sober. And she passed a sobriety test, but I mean, you have those moments, and when you're the only one left, it is, and I think that, when younger people call people my age Karens and stuff, they don't realize that, maybe, maybe we're the only one left out of friends. A lot of people my age have lost their best friends to COVID or cancer or things like that, or unaliving themselves. And I've been posting about what's been going on with the transportation situation. A lot of my friends that I grew up with, they're frustrated because they can't help me because they're in another part of the state. And it's frustrating to me because I'm stuck in this completely different part of the state, and everybody thinks it's somebody else's problem. Well, doesn't so organization help you? Well, I'm sure there's some organization. No, there are no organizations that help. And there's one big organization, and I'm going to say it again, the American Cancer Society, that fleeces donors and says they do that, but they don't. And all they do is take people's money, and the CEO is just pocketing the money and not providing any kind of assistance with that. All they have is an app that cancels the rides. And I'll post a screenshot where they canceled my ride. If people want to see it, I will do that. and they canceled it right after I requested it. It's not like they even waited, an hour or anything like that. They just canceled it right after I put the request in. So they are not in the business of helping people find rides. They're in the business of putting an app up there that will cancel the requests right away. And without transportation to my appointments, I will get no medical treatment. I have health insurance. And for those of you who think that the health insurance pays for rides, no, it does not. I am not on Medicaid. I do not qualify for Medicaid. If you, in the state of Florida, which is where I live, if you do not have children and you are not over 65, you don't qualify for Medicaid. And I am so sick of people asking me, why don't you apply for Medicaid? I don't qualify for it. I'm not disabled. I don't have children. And I'm not over 65. So I don't qualify for Medicaid. That's how it works. And epilepsy, which is a condition that I have, does not qualify you for Medicaid. It never did. It never does. The Chief Justice of the United States on our Supreme Court has epilepsy. Is he disabled? No. We just had a state senator have an epileptic seizure. People are making all kinds of jokes. There's one side that's saying that she had it because she's not vaccinated, and there's another side that's saying that she had it because she was vaccinated. People don't even know what party she was in. And I don't really care. It obviously was a seizure. When she had a seizure and passed out. And the video was viral. Poor woman had a seizure. It has nothing to do with whether she was vaccinated or not. She has epilepsy. And that's probably super embarrassing to her. And people need to leave her alone. That I would be very embarrassed that happened to me. I would be super embarrassed. She probably won't be able to drive for a couple of years. And that is a thing that we have a problem with. Maybe I ought to play the epilepsy card about getting transportation, because I nobody's helping me with anything else. So we don't even have an epilepsy foundation here in the Orlando area. So and then I have and she's probably watching this. My landlord is hounding me because she hasn't received a check in the mail that was mailed to her 2 weeks ago. Like I have some control over the postal system or something. People are just, I had a caller that called me, and this is absolutely not something that I am trained for. I had a caller call me 2 days ago who was distraught because they had an unaliving in their family a few days ago. I'm not trained to deal with crisis situations at work. We have no protocol for that. People are just, this is, people are not okay in this country and everything. It's not my fault that the mail is slow. And, if somebody wants to sell the house that I'm living in, they need to come right out and say it. And the and as for, people are not okay in this country. There's no transportation available. This country is a big mess on that. It's a big mess. Um, and don't donate money to the American Cancer Society. It's turned into a grift. They're not providing services to cancer patients. So that's my 2 cents this morning. I was supposed to go to get a CT scan this morning, and I'm not doing it today because I don't have a way to get over there. My car's sitting in the driveway collecting more pollen instead of actually being useful to me. I'm pretty upset about that. Until I can afford to get the alternator replaced on it, which is not something I know how to do. I don't even know what an alternator is. You know, I just know that it's something expensive and that I don't have the money to get it fixed right now. And that's basically killing me right now. The medical system, well, is, you know, everybody seems to think it's somebody else's problem to get me to my appointments. Our county that I live in does not have any kind of a service like that. I don't qualify for Medicaid, and American Cancer Society does not provide rides to medical appointments. They lie. So that's what I have to say this morning. Is they don't, and they are not helping cancer patients. The only thing they do is read off websites. So don't give them your money. Donate your money to Wigs for Kids or something like that. Donate your money to a hospital. Don't donate your money to the American Cancer Society. If you want to know who to give your money to, literally go on your computer, go on your phone, and look up a hospital close to you and donate money. Donate money to a children's unit. Oh my God. Look up a children's hospital. I can't think of anything sadder than a child being sick. Donate to a children's hospital. Do that. And that's my thought for today. So have a good day.